Good evening, dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
So who are we talking to tonight, man?
My name is Dick Johnson. I am the front man and sole writer for a apocalyptic folk band called English Brown.
Nice.
English Brown, right here out of Columbia, Missouri, I might add. That's Johnstown.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I like featuring local acts as much as I can, especially when I listen to your shit. I thought it was really good.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah, been listening to a lot of it lately.
Yeah.
So apocalyptic folk.
Yeah. People try to ask me all the time to explain what that is, and I say, take a little bit of H.R. Geiger, mix it with H.P. Lovecraft and The Notebook, and you have an idea.
Right.
Oh, those are some of my favorite things. I guess it makes sense, yeah.
That'd be a nice screenplay.
It would.
You always know how to judge people, too, based on which one they respond to. Like, when people are like, oh my God, The Notebook, I love it. Like, no. You're missing.
That was one of my last vacations, was down like right into that area, I guess, in South Carolina. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How was that?
That was beautiful. Oh man, it's a gorgeous place.
Yeah, those pictures were awesome.
I mean, I thought Charleston, especially, I thought was one of those places that's just like, if I ever, get that kind of lotto money, and it's just like buy places throughout the world, or whatever, it's like Charleston would be one that I would absolutely have to have a little place on.
A ton of history.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of it really grueling.
Yeah.
Hard to bear.
All history is.
Yeah, they handle it with grace, and they're great people down there, and it's just yeah, it's amazing. It's beautiful. Love South Carolina. If they ever want to sponsor the show and put us up somewhere.
There's always somebody. I was super broke just as a tour musician for about 3 years. Couldn't even afford all my guitar strings and picks, so I ended up just going and finding a bunch of small businesses that made those products and being like, hey, give me free shit and you'll be on my Instagram, So
Nice.
It's okay. I'm sure you guys can find a South Carolina sponsor.
Sure. Wonder what they sell from down there.
So who were you touring with for all those years?
The thing I'm doing right now is very new. I actually got my start in speed metal and black metal.
Right on.
And I used to play with a bunch of thrash bands, played several shows with Mushroom Head.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Played a few with Down, which is one of Phil Anselmo's bands from Terra.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few people, I played a show or two at Drowning Pool before their singer died.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I kind of toured all around. I also just got tired of metal, so I branched out and started playing jazz music and hillbilly music and classical piano.
Right on.
Now I'm at this weird folk music thing.
Yeah. As far as folk goes, it's a little darker stuff.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I find it more engaging than a lot of other folk music I listen to.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I incorporate a lot of my my metal background into it, even if it's just like slowed down time signatures or certain scales and chords. So it also helps. I mostly sing about really tough societal constructs like identity and addiction, things like that. So I think that definitely adds to the darker vibe that it gives too.
So are you from Columbia?
No, originally I'm from North Hollywood, California.
Oh, okay. How long have you been here?
Here in Missouri, on and off, about 14 years.
That's long enough.
That's long enough to be local.
Yeah.
Somebody told me when I was going to school here, they're like, how long have you been here? I was like, about 8 years. They're like, yeah, you're a local.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in a college
town. Yeah, in a college town. People come through and blow through.
Oh, they're gone. Yeah, they're gone before you actually get to know them and what they're about most of the time. Which is a kind of a big reason I like Columbia, because you have a revolving system of friends.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like somebody, they're eventually gonna go away, and that's kind of the beauty of the city.
Yeah, I think I love it here.
Oh, yeah.
I lived here since about, 2002, 3, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, been here a little while.
Yeah, I was there for 8 years, 9 years, something like that.
Yeah, man, lived here a long time. I've always said between here and Kansas City, these are the only two places I'd really like to live in the state.
Same, yeah. I've lived a few other like small towns. Like I lived in a place called Humansville one time.
Yeah.
And
I know where that is.
real suspect of a town.
Tell us about Humansville.
Humansville is a lot like this other town I came across called Bethel.
Okay.
But these are actually colony towns. They're colonies. They basically have their own form of government.
Mm.
And it's like, if Jim fucks up, then all the people in the township go to Jim's house and ask Jim why he fucked up.
Stone him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really weird, though. Humansville, also another comparable, is they all have these really, really weird, like old Masonic type, like clandestine insignias all over their town.
Okay.
But they're in the weirdest places.
Mm-hmm.
Several of them are like small designs carved into gazebo flooring, or sometimes it'll be the shape of a cul-de-sac. Really strange. But they're a colony, and apparently Missouri is one of the few states that actually still allow colonies.
Huh.
But what's the population like?
It's like 140.
Oh, yeah.
It's old money too. Old money too. Like we're talking like colonial time money.
Yep.
And it's just been revolving in the same town and families for generations.
But nothing like Children of the Corny or anything.
Oh no, it definitely had that vibe.
Yeah. What's going on?
It definitely gives that vibe, or maybe like Wrong Turn.
Right.
Not to talk shit on other towns, but
yeah,
honestly, if I drive through your town and I get that vibe just from driving in it, like, I don't know, I feel like people need to be warned.
Sure.
Well, I'm sorry if we have any listeners in Humansville, but we offer a safe place for you to come to.
Oh, they're wearing our market.
I'll come play a show there to make up for my mouth. That's usually what I do.
Yeah.
Well, we grew up in southern Missouri. Well, I did. John moved there when he was a teenager.
Uh-huh.
I spent a lot of time there too. So definitely those little towns have some interesting personalities. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, for sure.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Especially around Missouri.
Kansas City seems the more legit places to be at for the state.
Right.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't live down there anymore. I love it. I love the people, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
They would probably agree with that.
You sound like somebody in a cult trying to escape.
Yeah, I love how we're all nicely talking around the South. Like,
Right.
It's a nice place.
Well, they're kind of crazy and they have a lot of guns right now.
Right. It's not just the South. I think it also helps to qualify that it's the whole Midwest. It's a huge swath of land,
I agree.
It's not a specific people. It's a bunch of us.
Yep.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We all have weird, creepy towns.
Oh, there's a history, too. Always a history.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like our hometown has this fascinating history. I was just thinking about the dance hall explosion, John.
Oh, yeah.
This was like, when was it? Like early 1900s. There was this dance hall, and it was like, local dance hall, but West Plains, where we live, is the biggest town for miles and miles around.
Right.
So this big dance hall that everybody came to, and there was a gas leak one night, and it exploded, killed like tons of people.
Hundreds of people.
It would have been like huge international news today.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it's just like this little side note of history that nobody really knows about.
Yeah. The Barker gang, they're in West Plains, Missouri, shot down the sheriff. They're in the square in Howell County.
Jesus.
Yeah. Outlaw country.
Yeah, that's real outlaw.
Yep.
I love when people are like, well, we should go back to the Wild West. And I just think, like, I'm not sure you really know what you're saying.
No.
Boy, penicillin. That's
Or
so
like
great.
when people talk about going back to, like, London,
Oh, yeah.
London times. I'm just like, could you imagine wearing all that clothing, not showering, not shaving?
Yeah.
No.
And
That's
then
not good.
And then people throw shit out their windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your clothes are even dirtier. Yeah.
Meat pies out of children and shit. It was not an okay.
Right?
Just the lack of like running water and air conditioning would be enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No artisan pizza.
They didn't have any toilets once upon a time, so like shit literally flowed through the streets.
Yeah. No CVS.
Yeah. Dysentery.
Suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not interested. I'm
I'm glad at some of the leaps that humans have made. We're like, we need fucking toilets now.
Right.
Right.
Those guys are true heroes. That's where they come in throughout.
Yeah.
But speaking of, apocalyptic music, we would talk about folk music.
Yeah.
There's some out of those kinds of areas. I mean, really some pretty dark shit.
Oh yeah.
That comes out in that music, and you don't really notice it sometimes because of maybe the tone.
Absolutely.
Really, like I've talked about Rocky Top before. You ever listen to that song?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a dark song.
It's gloomy as fuck. No doubt.
Once two strangers climb a Rocky Top.
I mean, honestly, the majority of folk music, especially right now, and kind of outlaw music, like Coulter Wall or Lost Dog Street Band or Amigo the Devil, like
Yes.
they all have a really, really super dark message in them,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great, honestly, because a lot of people, unless there's somebody that's already interested in it, they're not really going to notice it the first several times. Especially these days, the majority of us are programmed to enjoy music based on the sound instead of like based on the actual context or the content.
Right.
So, it's kind of like a little Easter egg treat for the people that actually like to listen and read lyrics and really see what a song's about.
Yeah.
No, I love good lyrics.
Still allowed on the radio, because it has a catchy and happy sound behind it.
And I don't want to throw like any other musician at the bus or anything, but what was the last like metal show you played where you said, well, I'm about done with this? I mean, I don't want it to be like the band's fault. Be like, well, I played with these assholes. I'm never gonna.
It wasn't so much the band or even the music.
Yeah.
It was the lifestyle that it was giving me. I was partying 6 days out of the week, doing everything up my nose I could. And, after about a decade of that, you get burnt out.
Yes.
And tons of drama on the road when you're in a metal band for whatever damn reason. Either one of the people on the bus are starting shit or one of the band members are.
Right.
I think the last show was probably here in Columbia, and I played at Rhodes Music Hall when it was Mojo's.
Right.
Yeah.
I played with a metal band called Rule of Honor, and we were playing there, and we went over our time slot, and they shut off all the instrumentation. Like, they turned all the volume off, like all the mics and shit, and the singer was just like, you know what, fuck this, I don't need a microphone. And then we kept playing, and over the venue, basically. I guess that was a pivotal moment that just kind of made me realize, like, God, we're really assholes. Like, that's all we are. We're loud assholes. So I still played with them for a couple years after that, but like, I feel like that was that pivotal moment when I was like, I need to do something else.
Right.
Also a hell of a supportive community, like getting friends to come out to shows next to impossible because there's a psychology that you're not really necessarily a performer because you're a friend.
Yeah.
Play a show in Columbia and I'll get 30 people to it. I can go play a show in Sedalia, the place that I've never played, and get 80 people there.
Right. I have to explain this to some people sometime that like Columbia is a schmedium city.
Yeah.
It's got the trappings immediately of a city, but it's not really. And like a scene can make or break with just like 20, 30, 50 people at a time sometimes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like a college town. So everybody's graduating and everybody's leaving and,
It's hard to be local and build a base.
Yeah.
It's almost next to impossible. I actually worked around that by just going off to all these small little towns on the sides of Kansas City and Columbia and Springfield, playing those little towns. And people there are ecstatic to have live music.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some shit bar and hole in the wall. And I mean, for instance, in Bethel, when I played there, like population is probably 140 people. I would bet that I had at least 90 to 110 people there.
Right on. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole psychology behind it, but I always found with metal musicians and friends, those are the people that even if they don't like your music, they'll come out and support you as an artist.
Yeah, it's very loyal.
Just kind of got burnt out on it, though.
Yeah.
So kind of ended up here now.
Yeah, but you said you had some positive support though from friends and everything, and you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna try out my hand on this folk thing." And
yeah, 50-50. There was certainly a level of jealousy there because I don't care what anybody says, folk is a lot more marketable for a lot of different vectors,
right?
That metal is just not.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely had some, I don't want to say envious, but at the very least jealous or offended people that were like, man, your music sucks. It sounds like shit. It's not going to go anywhere. You should have stayed in metal.
Thought you were selling out, or...
I think, it's certainly an age thing where, like, that was through my 20s and I was very short-minded.
Right.
And I was one of those people that always believed that I would only listen to metal and only live in heavy metal. And then,
right.
You grow up and you keep growing, and
right.
It's just not necessarily filling your palate anymore.
Right. You're Ricky Nelson going to a garden party.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I think a big part of the problem was that I was this person that was changing and expanding my repertoire, and I was around primarily people who were still stuck in that mode of, well, metal is all I'm ever going to do.
Right.
So the support was there, and it wasn't at times. But, when you try anything new, it's not going to catch on. And at the end of the day, even if people hate your shit, as long as they're listening to it or any of that, that's advertising. At some level for music, it's all the same.
Right.
How long has this current incarnation, the English Brown, been going on?
Yeah, the English Brown Band.
Really heavy, about 2 years. On and off, it's been a concept for about 7 years.
Okay.
I didn't want to just immediately start doing something or recording, especially in doing a new thing, because, you want to get comfortable with it, basically. But it's a very long, very deep concept project, essentially about singularity. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what that is or not.
In what regard? Like the origin of the universe thing?
No, more singularity like in the form of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Like a singular event.
Right. We're basically that point where we create a sentience that is superior to us.
Yes.
And then we kind of work to stay relative in the field of that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of new era. So it follows the story of basically a future dystopian world where technology and singularity have occurred and pretty much all but wiped out humanity. And it follows several different storylines of different sentient beings. I don't want to give too much of it away yet.
So I was going to say like terrestrial, extraterrestrial.
Not necessarily terrestrial, but really, really high levels of artificial intelligence, androids.
Gotcha.
And it allows me to pan and write a total different level of songs with different concepts to each song. So like for most of the kind of love-ish songs, those are mostly based around the storyline of two of the last remaining humans. And kind of at the end of it all, they realize their job isn't to try and procreate and all of that, but really to record the last moments of human history. So kind of deep identity stuff there,
Mm-hmm.
And then I write a lot of my oppression-based songs based off of concept arts about a group of androids basically being issued the order to hunt down these final humans.
Right on.
Yeah, it's a really big project with a lot of different concepts and allegories in it.
You know what it sounds like it needs to me is comic accompaniment.
I've been looking into one.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
And I want to do it right. I have a couple artists, though. So that is something that's actually in the works for it all. I'm going to wait till after I release the 3 albums.
Okay.
And then it's going to kind of be at the end of all that, probably in some sort of a discography.
Cool.
The plan is if it keeps going well and people keep liking it, then hopefully I'll do this for the next 20 years and make this massive spanning thing.
Huh.
It sounds wonderful to me.
Yeah, kind of a different kind of a rock opera, almost like a series. I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. That's precisely what it's like. A lot of planning has gone into it, but actively I've been playing and really composing for about the last 2 years on it.
Yeah. So was the pandemic really fucked you up on that, or it's just allowed you to kind of fold in and concentrate on some work?
It really hasn't fucked me up, honestly. I'm a very, very heavy empathetic introvert that has to play the role of an extrovert for the sake of my music career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always appreciated people keeping 6 feet of distance from me.
Right. Yeah.
So it hasn't really mentally done anything to me. If anything, I feel more normal here than a lot more than I did in pre-pandemic, pre-COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Musically, you just kind of learn to adapt. Like, I'm not going out, and was there a time that I didn't go out and play any shows at all? Absolutely, for about 9 months. But
Right.
I moved that to online, and there's a massive surge of online open mic pages and groups and events.
Yeah.
And just basically built it through the internet, I know a lot of people that had a really horrible and rough time, and it pretty much devastated their career. But, I had some hard times, but essentially it's just, if you don't want to be ruined, you basically got to learn how to adapt.
Sure.
Yeah, man. And everybody's going through it in some capacity.
Absolutely.
A little bit of dystopian inspiration maybe in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I do play, people really say that in many ways they feel like my music was wrote for a time like this. And then
Yeah, I can see that.
all the music is based around moments like this.
Yeah.
Right. If there was ever a time, like certainly in my life that I can think of, I've never felt less certain about what's to come.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a dystopian moment today. I went to the Gerbs on Paris Road today. Went shopping with my daughter, got some food stuff. We're all messed up, come back to the truck. And I realize, like an idiot, I have locked both sets of keys in my truck.
Shit.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I call my wife, my daughter's with me. I've got like all these groceries and shit. She comes and picks up the kid. I'm like, okay, I'll call and figure this out. I call a locksmith. But in the front of like the parking lot at the grocery store, they've got a Columbia Police like speaker tower, like solar powered and shit. And it's like, please observe the coronavirus mandate and wear a mask when shopping in this center.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a dystopian moment for damn sure, man.
Yeah. Like this loop. And it wasn't that harmful or crazy or anything. It's like, yeah, people need to do that shit. But I'm just seeing like the CPD logo and this tower, like broadcasting shit and like people all masked up. It's like, wow.
Oh, yeah. That's cyberpunk shit.
Yeah. I was like, I at very least won't forget this. Like while I'm sitting here waiting on this locksmith.
Sure. I think of like all the screens that I see, everywhere now. There's a screen.
The plastic dividers. Yeah.
No, I meant like TVs.
Oh.
Like monitors everywhere. I think of like max headroom is just going to pop up at any time.
Right.
Well, there's certainly some real concerns there that, we're in an age where it's not even expensive anymore to spy on people. And if you know how to write the code and the data for these things, you can hack into systems and
sure,
and watch people's computers that are shut off. And, like fucking Facebook, it'll activate your phone even when you have your phone locked, to like listen to conversations and use that information to sell you and target you ads.
Yeah, the advertising thing. Matt had one of those recently. What was it, Matt?
It was something I just like had a conversation about something very random.
And you're positive you didn't search for it?
No, I didn't get on the phone. I didn't look anything up.
Yeah, I believed you.
It's a real thing.
And then there's just like a pop-up for whatever it was that I was talking about.
Huh.
Even the amount of data that these companies give regular people is terrifying. So Facebook has an advertising app. It's called Facebook Ads. I don't know if you guys have it or have seen it. I recommend it. But it really allows you to geo-target and target a person at about any level that you want to target somebody for advertising. You can basically, like, for instance, John, I could go to your page and I could see your likes and interests.
Right.
And if I wanted to try and pick up people that had your mindset, like, I could essentially just go search for people through a certain age range that have the exact same likes and interests. And the likeliness that that person's going to be that person that you're wanting to target is almost 100%.
Yeah. Right.
Should normal people have access to that information?
No.
No. No.
Facebook just gives it up, man. So does Google.
It's scary. Yeah.
You know, we are in a dystopian world. If anything, I try not to be so nihilist, but I feel like we're very quickly moving towards that. And I think it's inevitable in our society that that's probably going to happen, you know, sooner or later. Surveillance is always going to get better. And it's kind of one of the byproducts of everything else getting better. You know, medical technology is going to get better. Driving technology is going to get better. It's just surveillance is one of those really terrifying things that's also going to get better.
Right.
And one thing I've always said is that one thing that allows us to get away with this in America is just keeping Americans fat, satiated, and happy. You know, you got two cars in the garage.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. You don't see the bombs going off over your house.
We've had the benefit of never having to experience mandates before. You know, that's the difference too, is that like the rest of the world's still like that, you know?
And we're seeing shit start to change.
Yeah.
We're seeing our Capitol building getting raided.
Right.
That's crazy.
We're seeing pandemics. We're seeing all kinds of shit.
Right. And part of it's because of that entitlement, like that, okay, shit doesn't happen to us. We don't have to do anything because we're the best.
Right.
And then the real world says, no.
Yeah.
You got to do shit too. You got to go through some shit. And then it comes to us and half of us are like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
We totally don't. We're awesome. And the other half is like, maybe the rest of the world knows something we don't.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And then there's the other side of that. Like a percentage live healthy and have two cars and are buying a house.
Right.
But then there's the, you know, is struggling working two jobs.
Right.
With 3 or 4 kids.
And the gap's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Never have the ability to look past a weekly paycheck, let alone ever consider buying a house.
Mm-hmm.
And they also keep you in that system of, so, you know, they keep you in cycles of poverty and wealth. And if that's all you're pursuing, then you really don't have to be concerned about all the other things.
Yep. Feast and famine. It's an American tradition. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to fall apart.
More people are catching on. Like, I will say I've noticed an increase in people being like, so wait a second.
Right.
You know, and that's not a benefit we had even 10 years ago.
No.
The question is it going to change in time? Who really knows, you know?
Who knows?
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, something's got to give.
Yeah.
I mean, it just can't keep going forever. The pendulum, I think, has really helped us perpetuate this shit show, anyway. I say help us in that qualifying fashion. But, I mean, just swinging one way or the other just keeps everybody on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's gonna swing for much longer.
Oh, you know, I mean, we're seeing things. Our generation was like almost indoctrinated to the idea that, like you said, you know, we're all powerful. This is a great nation. Everything's great.
Right.
And now we're just starting to see how the rest of the world gets shit and deals with shit finally.
Right. We don't want that. No.
You know, we literally had an insurrection occur or a coup de grace attempted.
Oh, but you can't say that, though, because they were white folks and they were just upset.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. But ultimately, it's very unfortunate for the reasons. It's you know, I try not to be too political.
And I don't want to be too flippant about it either.
Protests are for different things. One group is fighting for you to recognize that they should have equal and human civil rights.
Uh-huh.
And the other people convinced there was fraud somewhere.
Well, they want to live in the matrix,
yeah.
Right? They've got a sight of what's outside of the matrix. That's way too much work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's going to be too difficult. I have to do things that aren't comfortable. I'm just going to go back to this matrix and be comfy. That's what I'd rather do. And how dare you tell me I need to come out of it?
Yeah. It's scary.
True, though. Yeah. We'll see what happens, man.
We'll see. I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Always have.
Yep.
Doesn't do much good, but
Yeah, well, just myself, I'll use as an example, right? This shit's gone way farther than I ever could have envisioned in my mind. And I try to consider myself as pretty open to a lot of things, but I could not have imagined just how fucked up the last 4 years would have been.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that I have put a lot of stock in the phrase, the truth is stranger than fiction. I just keep repeating that to myself over and over again. And I don't question it at all. I probably should. I mean, just to be a critical thinker.
Yeah, just constantly. I mean, how many times have I found myself thinking, are you shitting me?
Right.
The golden Trump at the CPAC this week. Holy shit.
I know.
I think that was kind of funny looking.
Oh, I think it's hilarious.
Did you see their stage? Their stage is basically...
Oh, that's a Nazi symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, Nazi symbol. Like, how do you make that mistake? You don't. That's not a mistake you made.
Right. And I'm not laughing at Nazis, people. I'm not. I'm laughing at the absurdity.
Yeah, it's wild.
The silliness of it all.
Well, and that's it. You know, in a lot of circumstances, I could look over that and say, okay, somebody just didn't know. Right? And I believe that. Because it's not as obvious as a swastika.
True.
Right.
But then that's even more alarming because it's like, well, no, I guess it's still equally alarming.
But, well, right. They've already shown their hand,
Right, yeah,
you know,
right.
on just blatant racism.
Oh, like it's the first time. You know?
Right.
I love when people are like, they talk about it like this is shit that happened generations ago. And it's like, no, man, you're talking about these people's grandparents that are still alive right now, dealt with this shit. Till recently, I believe there was still a few Holocaust survivors still alive.
Yeah.
Like, try telling them that's a fucking not real. What the hell?
Right. Well, it's like I've always said about the Ku Klux Klan and its disbanding. Well, supposed disbanding in the 60s, you know, when they broke them up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, they took the hoods off.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, they didn't just die.
No, you just made them harder to identify.
Yeah, they didn't disappear into a puff of smoke. They're still there, and they're still training their kids that way, and they're running their towns that way, and they're heating and air conditioning company or whatever. I mean, they're still there.
Yep.
That's a good point, man.
They didn't go anywhere.
That's wild.
It is wild. But we have an apocalypse to look forward to.
Yay.
It'll, something's going to happen. There will be big changes. We'll see what happens.
What do you think the odds are on the board? Like asteroid, virus, I don't know, nuclear war?
Oh, I think it's going to be real slow to the point that you don't even notice that it's happening. I think it's going to be very much more frog in the pot, man.
Yeah.
Take, for example, Monsanto Seed Corporation.
Yeah.
They own 70% of the world's seed trade. They have government contracts for continuity projects to where they're guaranteeing food supplies. And they own 70% of the world's seed trade, and they own 95% of the world's heirloom seeds.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Really?
It's really terrifying to consider that, like, this company, like, if they can genetically modify pesticides into it, they could probably, one day we'll be able to genetically use food as warfare, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be shit like that where there's going to be slow things done that people are doing tests for profit, and over thousands of years we'll do so many fucked up things to us that it'll probably just wipe us out.
Yeah. I've got a theory that a lot of it's going to start with produce trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just things like that. Just the fact with you look at like draining aquifers out in the West and California and where we get all our produce and everything.
I'm kind of worried lately about just hacking the system because we've had two really recent stories.
Oh, really?
That Russia hacking in, and who knows what the fuck they've gotten into.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing I've seen from Putin that makes me think, oh, he's going to be okay with this. We can trust that guy. No, he would love to fuck shit up.
Sure he would.
He really wants to do it.
Yeah, he's
right. And then this whole thing in Texas.
Yeah.
Like I was reading just like yesterday, it was literally within minutes of like a total wipeout of the system down there if they didn't start shutting shit down.
Oh, due to the snowstorm? Yeah.
It's really terrifying too. Like nuclear reactors, like if all energy shuts off from them, they have about enough water to contain plutonium for about 2 weeks.
Yes.
So fucking hundreds of nuclear reactors all over the world.
Oh, fuck.
And it's terrifying. Like, there was actually, I don't know if you guys ever read about this. I read about it just out of fucking boredom. I think it was the government, clearly, but in California, they launched a nuclear warhead into space, like a smaller one.
Yeah.
But what happened is the radioactive particles, like, dispersed across Earth's atmosphere and killed all the energy and telecommunications on the West Coast for like 9 hours. So, you know, it is a giant EMP, basically. Fucking crazy.
Wouldn't be surprised.
There's a lot of ways it could go. My biggest concern, honestly, is kind of what my music's about, where I think we're going to start putting nanotechnology and we're going to make ourselves kind of synthetic to live longer. And I think eventually we'll become completely reliant on that technology. I think artificial intelligence has a very good chance of being created with our ignorance. As long as it's not artificial intelligence taking over humanity, I'm kind of okay with anything else. That is probably my main worry, honestly.
How far are you willing to go for like an AI modification of like your body or something to keep you in perfect health or cure a disease?
Sure.
Or something to that degree. Like how cyborgy are you willing to go?
That's a question. I am not willing to go very far at all.
Okay.
I don't even like taking body modifiers like
steroids, things like that.
Yeah, not even just steroids, but just like taking heavy protein shit, you know, and stacking your body in unnatural ways.
Yeah, that's pretty far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's honestly, and this is, I think, probably where most people would be. It's how close am I to dying? How close am I to thinking that my time is up and can I extend it?
So you're not an enhancement dude at all.
Like, I'm in good health right now.
Yeah.
And I hope to stay that way for a while. But if I'm suddenly like knocking on death's door,
would you do that?
Yeah, I might try that. You know, I'd think about it.
I guess that's kind of my point. My danger zone is like, is there a length that we wouldn't go? You know?
Yeah.
I really don't know that there is a limit.
Right.
People have even talked about one day being able to basically create shit that's called a Dyson sphere, which is like just a giant artificial network that runs off the sun. And like people want one day be able to load their minds into just a technological space.
A network.
Right.
So we're still, you know, probably a long way away from that. I think we're probably going to kill ourselves some way before then.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think we're already doing really dangerous and crazy things with quantum computing. We're finding out about parallel universes. We're finding out about atoms that refract from the Earth instead of contract to it. The world's a very strange place.
Yeah.
There's things that we can do to, you know, not do that.
One of my favorite theories, we had Betty X on the show who talked about ever since like the 2016 Higgs boson, the big kickoff that happened there with that. It wasn't like the launch, it was like 2016.
Oh, I'm familiar.
She's like, ever since then, everything's gone to shit. This is a parallel universe. It's not real.
So, funny story. Something I do in my spare time is I infiltrate conspiracy Facebook groups.
Oh, interesting.
And it's actually a pretty good time. But I got in a reptilian shapeshifter one. That was really solid. I got in a couple flat earth ones.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I'm into this shit. So what'd you find out? What do you know that we don't know?
I don't know that I really know anything. I just sometimes I would comment on shit and I'd be like, stupid humans. Yeah.
Right.
Just to kind of feed it. There's a lot of crazy things out there, but a lot of people were talking about the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that when the Higgs boson particle hit, that it might have created some sort of parallel.
Created it.
Yep.
My personal opinion is nobody paid any attention to the Fruit Loops label.
Yeah.
Or the Berenstain Bears or any of that shit.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, it's cognitive dissonance.
It is.
I think over time you kind of forget, so you fill in what you want to, what's closest to that.
Right, or you conflate Jiff and Skippy. Now it's Jiffy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the fact that you can be targeted to remember even such a thing for that long is crazy in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys were paying too much attention back in March or April of 2020, but at the height of the pandemic starting, the Navy came out and verified that there was like several spacecraft videos, which were basically UFOs. Like they straight up admitted.
Are you talking about the New York Times, the Commander Fravor Tic Tac UFOs over off the coast of California around that time?
This was just like a declassified thing that the Navy released, but it was several different videos. And I think they originally surfaced because Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 is actually a UFO space.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but on top of that, they also released a shitload of other documents. So one of them is about the study that they did after MK Ultra, where they're basically just postulating that the universe is malleable and that we're kind of just living in a simulation.
Right.
And they released a bunch of shit like that. So I thought, oh, that was me. My bad. Sorry. I can be cut out.
Yes, it can.
It was the aliens.
Yeah, they heard shit. They didn't want it to happen.
Right.
Well, there was a new sighting just like this week in New Mexico. A pilot sighted something.
Oh, yeah?
I'm trying to remember the details.
Yeah, we love following UFO stories.
Yeah, dude.
We've had Tom Whitmore on the show from MUFON.
Oh, yeah. I know Tom. Yeah, well, I don't know, but I know of him.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
Very cool guy. Very smart guy. Very objective.
He was actually at he was outside of the Capitol when all the shit was going down on the 6th.
Yeah.
We had a whole episode with him where we just talked about it.
Yeah, it was his second time back. We had a kind of MUFON episode with him before, and then he was like, guys, I was just down here, on January 6th, and he was in the shit. We were like, yes, come on. And we did a podcast with him on that. But yeah, really cool guy.
Man, I remember when all the riots first started happening, even before that, in like Portland and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was hundreds of Facebook Live videos of that stuff, man. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's people back here in the Midwest just like, well, I don't understand why they're being all mad.
Right.
No, you don't. That is the problem.
That's kind of the problem. Yep. That's kind of the problem.
Man, I saw one video where a bunch of military police like fucking tased and pepper sprayed a line full of grandmas.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Horrible.
It is horrible.
I guess that's a question too that's really dangerous about like martial law is like, what level are you willing to go to obey orders of your chief and commanding officer?
Yeah.
Are you willing to work against your own people?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't know. Well, I mean, I've always kind of found, and I qualify this with my own mind. I just say I could never be a cop.
No.
I could never be one. I think just the idea of somebody putting a badge in my hand saying, here, you are responsible for this. No.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my jam whatsoever. I feel bad criticizing a lot of cops.
Oh, it's got to be a tough job, but at the same time.
Yeah, there's still plenty of them who, obviously, it's like, if you took that job, you don't do that, dude. You don't do that, brother.
Yeah.
Not to people. That ain't right. But I don't see why those things have to be exclusive either.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I'm not a cop and just because I don't deal with it every day doesn't mean I can't look at something you do and say, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that.
Right. But it does evolve kind of, I think, a lot of the time, and not every time. I don't think everybody's like this, but it does kind of become like the Stanford prison experiment.
Right.
Right. Where the power just goes to their head.
Yeah.
And I'm a mini god.
That fucks me up. Learning about Stanford prison experiment fucks me up. And then I got learned about the Abu Ghraib prisons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Ugh.
I've kind of let that escape my memory, and I hate it coming back up.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Man, brutal.
Yeah, it's really fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a radio transmission from an American Airlines to Cincinnati to Phoenix last weekend might have been ripped straight from the X-Files.
Mm.
Oh.
Do you have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us, said the pilot at 1:19 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday. I hate to say this, but it looked like a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast right over the top of us, according to audio published on aviation blog Deep Black Horizon.
Ooh.
The blogger Steve Douglas intercepted the transmission accidentally as he was trying to pick up another aircraft with a radio scanner. It was a pure coincidence, he told the Arizona Republic.
Huh.
Douglas used 2 flight tracking websites to determine that the exact position of the plane was over the northeast corner of New Mexico, west of Clayton, New Mexico, at an altitude of 37,000 feet.
Weird. I think the big thing, too, is just like was being said earlier, the events that were occurring last year exposed by the Navy. The Navy's basic policy was, we don't know what these things are. We need help identifying them.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to say what they are or aren't, but we don't know what they are.
Right.
And that's basically what came out. Then the only difference that, like Tom Whitmore pointed out, was that the Air Force and the Army, they didn't quite concur with what the Navy said.
Mm-hmm.
But you had, like, 5 commanders in the Navy, video, endless, like, FLIR camera footage of these things zipping around.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that the U.S. government, at least one branch of the U.S. government, is saying, well, we don't know what they are. You help us out. Tell us what you think. I mean, that's never happened, dude.
Yep.
I feel like they kind of had to do that too, though.
Yeah.
Because they already had the videos released, you know? They just finally kind of confirmed it.
Right. Well, and that solution always made the most sense to me.
Yeah.
Was just that the military doesn't know what the fuck they are at all.
Yeah.
And they're just covering up their ignorance. They're just saying, like, well, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a way to say, I don't know what the hell that is. But now that it's all released and under freedom of information, everything else, like, we don't know.
Yeah. But how much of it is they don't want to look ignorant, and how much of it is we don't want another, like, War of the Worlds scenario?
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah, I tell people about that all the time. And I think that was really a turning point. I don't know if it was naturally a government test, but I guarantee you the government looked at that scenario and they're like, nah, Bob, we ain't telling them
Sure.
about anything. We're shit a secret.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's crazy is that's kind of what's happening right now, is that kind of, not necessarily that storyline,
Yeah.
but that's what's kind of a slow crawl story, like, is coming out.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a good way in my head of explaining what's happening just psychologically with, about 35% of the country.
Yeah.
Right. They've been fed these fake stories that they've been led to believe are real for years and years and years, so long that they can't distinguish the difference.
Every day, man. I mean, if you follow Donald Trump on Twitter and then you watched all of his White House briefings, like, you could have that dude on almost 18 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's alarming, man. That's so alarming.
Yeah. War of the Worlds, 1938.
Yeah.
Gotta give Orson Welles credit for that, man. He knew what was going on. He was just a kid, too, man.
Well, aren't they including, like, in the COVID bill, like a thing to release information on UFOs?
I did hear that.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see where it goes.
That's kind of an interesting thing to throw in there.
Which, if you're going to plug shit in there, I would much prefer that to, like, oh, here's $1.8 trillion for jet fighters we don't use anymore.
Right. And I can totally see it happening that way, just kind of like the same way that, like, cannabis was legalized in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew. It was just like the next day, it's like, well, everybody can buy weed in Illinois whenever you want. We were like, what? When did they vote? But it'll just be like, well, yep, UFOs are real according to Delaware.
I mean, yeah, that's basically how they've already, they're trying to play it off already.
Right.
I argued that before, that, like, it's just kind of a slow, okay, we're going to get them acclimated.
It's part of your 2020 apocalyptic calendar, I
can't think of a time in our history, especially, at least for me personally, where I wouldn't be more open to, like, yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Put it right before Murder Hornets,
Right. Okay. Yeah. Aliens now. Sure. Sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told this story before, but like back in the 90s when they were making those Bratz Barbie dolls with big eyes, I knew this guy, and he was like, "Man, that's what those things are made for, dude. They're getting us ready for the hybrid alien human." And like the kids, like they're giving them to little girls and they're going to be used to seeing them, right? And they're going to know like this is normal. So like when they land, they won't be scared. And everybody's going to listen to their daughter, right? Because like they're the ones that control the household, man. I was like, it could be it. I don't know.
He's thought about this for sure.
He did. He certainly did.
Man, that's awesome.
Yep. And then I got what I came for and I went out of there. So now that we got completely off the rails, which I love, which I love and enjoy. It's going to be a great episode. It really will.
Yeah, man.
No, we love talking about this kind of shit.
Oh, I live in this type of shit, so for sure, man. I felt right at home.
Yeah, it kind of sucks we can't hang out. We're right in the same town.
Yeah, man. I have shows every now and then. COVID safe, good seating.
Okay. I got my first shot. I got my first injection.
Nice.
About a month from now. I'm definitely cool with that. But I want to check out some shows locally. We got to hang out.
There will be a time that, there's not a pandemic. Surely.
That's got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is going? You got any like drop dates on the album, or are you still just kind of gonna?
I don't right now.
Okay.
Fortunately, I had it we have it all recorded, and it just I'm finishing signing up this deal. But like producer's having a child, and then the CEO, like the owner of the company, is also the producer. Like this guy is amazing and just kind of did his own business, and he's the producer and the director and all the parts.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, between pandemic and him having a kiddo, we're just kind of put on hold with it. But
right.
I have artwork for it and everything. Just need to finish signing everything and then put it on the music sites.
Nice.
Sweet.
I think whenever we finally do it, I'm probably going to print like 100 vinyls just because I know a lot of people are getting into vinyls again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably sell a couple here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool thing. No official date right now, pandemic. Definitely put everything on hold.
Stay tuned. Maybe when this shit breaks, you can come over here to the studio, the house.
Yeah.
Hang out.
Definitely.
Have a beer.
For sure.
Right on. Any website you want to plug or anything for getting your shit?
My Facebook's a pretty good place to keep up with me when I have shows and stuff, which is just English Brown. I think there's like one other page, and that one's about beer. So mine will very clearly be about music.
Okay.
Outside of that, maybe find me on Spotify. I have a single on there at the very least called Turbulence.
Yeah, that's a good song. Yeah.
Well mastered. That's about it. I'm not really much of a plugger, If I have a show like a week or two away, I might plug that.
Right on.
I feel like part of what people enjoy about it is that it's so random when they get to hear or see me. So it's kind of like I'm a there and gone enigma for them.
Mysterious. Cool. Yeah, we're all about it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Undetermined the podcast. We had a great time tonight with Dick from English Brown.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, dude. Thanks again for having me.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.